Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Fairy Tail Chapter 396. This is, oh, where to even start? I mean, it wasn't a bad chapter, it's just, I'm just getting tired of Hiro Mashima's writing style, because when he wants to, he can write really, really well. We've seen it before, whether it's in Rave Master or if it's in Fairy Tail itself. Not too long ago, he had a great chapter. Every once in a while, he busts out these really awesome chapters. And it's not like it's like one chapter an arc either. He has multiple awesome chapters every arc. However, those chapters that aren't awesome, it's always because of the same thing. All right, and one of the things he does to make his chapters not good is writing his villains very badly. Okay? And he'll build them up for a little bit and make you think that they're really, really strong and really, really powerful and really, really dangerous. But then when it comes time for them to actually prove it and put their money where their mouth is, they end up looking like fools. All right? And that's what happened with the last chapter. All right, Torfusa and Tempesta, they were made to look like jokes. They were nowhere. They were so weak that they weren't even in Natsu and Gajio's radar. These dudes were just made to look like fools to Natsu and Gajio, to the point where Natsu and Gajio could argue with each other and fight each other in the middle of a fight and not even have to worry about those two. That's just how much stronger they are than Torfusa and Tempesta. Satoru Fusa and Tempesta are literally made to look like jokes because these two are joking around instead of finding them and taking them seriously. And then in this chapter, Hiro Mashima just turns it around and then tries to make Torufusa look like, the baddest demon on the planet. And he's, what was it called, Tenchi Kaime or something. He was like this black water, and it's like now all of a sudden Hiro wants us to take him seriously, but how can I take him seriously? I saw the last chapter, so I can't take him seriously anymore. Like I guess you could try and say that Natsu and Gajio didn't take him seriously and now they're paying for it, but not really, because at the end of the day we know Torufusa is going to lose. And we know that all the stuff that happened to Natsu and the others is not going to do anything in the end, because Hiramashima tried to inflate this attack and make it look like, oh man, it's so dangerous, it's going to kill them within 5 minutes. But we all know that they're not going to die. We all know that Juvia, Lucy, and Natsu and Levi are not going to die. We all know that. So when he tries to artificially inflate these attacks and these characters and make them look like they're big threats, he doesn't take into consideration the fact that his arcs always turn out the same, and we know that. So when he doesn't attack like this, all of us reading this chapter know that this isn't going to do anything. All it does is it's a plot device to allow Gajio to fight on his own. That's all it is to us, because we know it's not going to do anything it's not going to actually do anything to Natsu and Lucy and Juvia and Levi. We already know that. So Hiro Mashima repeats himself so much in Fairy Tail that it's just something like this might have worked in another series, but it just doesn't work in Fairy Tail because none of us take it seriously. No one, not a single person reading this manga, reading this chapter, took that attack seriously. The minute he said they die within 5 minutes, that was it. That was it. I stopped taking it seriously then. I stopped taking it seriously then. First of all, if they're unconscious right now, shouldn't they have drowned by now? So like if you're unconscious, you can't force yourself to stop breathing. So they're breathing right now, but they're underwater, so they can't breathe. So they should have drowned by now. But whatever. Yeah. uh, so this whole situation right now, this fight with Torfusa and Tempesta, it's just not only have those two had their characters ruined already to the point where they can't be taken seriously as threats, but the first time they do something that maybe, just maybe, you might be able to start taking them seriously, Hiro makes that very thing they did not serious anymore because we all know it's not going to do anything. So now he has Torafusa trying to act like he thinks he's all that when all of us are just sitting here like, yeah, okay. And we all know, we already know how it's going to end. So it's just like it just makes him look pathetic for thinking he's better than he really is. That's what it does. It's like it's like watching a person who I don't know what's a good example. Let's say you take Warren or Max, okay? Max is the guy who uses sand magic. And let's say this dude legitimately thought that he was going to go up to Laxus and defeat him. Legit thought it. Legit thought so. This dude had it set in his head. He knew he was going to go up to Laxus and beat this dude in one hit. And he's walking up. And all of us know that Laxus is going to completely destroy this dude. But he's so confident. He's so confident he's going to do it. Then he goes and fights Laxus, and he's the one that gets one-shotted instead. It just makes him look pathetic, right? It just makes him look pathetic for for overestimating his ability that much. And that's what's happening to Torafusa right now, because we already know how this is going to end. Just like we would if Max was going to go fight Laxus. Or we already know how this is going to end. They're overestimating their ability. We know that they're overestimating their ability, and it just makes them look pathetic for not being able to tell the difference in strength. Okay, so it just makes them look bad. They already look bad because in the last chapter, but now it makes them look even worse. Because not only do they look weak now, they look pathetic. The only thing in this chapter, well, now that I've been talking about it for this long, it actually is worse than I originally thought. But the one good thing that you can the one good thing that you can actually get out of this chapter is that Gajil and Levi actually got some development. Because when it comes to romance in Fairy Tail, it's never done well. It's never done well. Juvia and Gray are made to look like it's just comic relief. It's just a joke. You know, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are hoping that at some point in the future they will actually like become an item, and Gray will actually, it'll actually be taken seriously for once, and Gray will actually accept Juvia's feelings. I'm sure there are people who are hoping for that. I'm hoping for that, but deep down, do I really think it's going to happen? No, because even if it's been addressed a lot more now, like Urza was talking to Gray during the Grand Magic Games and saying, I know you're aware of her feelings. Why don't you just answer her? Urza was telling Gray that, and it's just been addressed much more lately with Juvia and Silver and all that recently. It's just been addressed a lot more. But even then, I just can't bring myself to believe that Hiro Mashima is actually going to let it happen. Because the last time I thought that, it was with Natsu and Lisana. And that wrote itself. Back in Adelos, after Adelos ended, there was not a single person who thought that these two were not going to end up together, or maybe there were, but like these two were perfect for each other, and he thought he thought that Hiro Mashima was going to do something with it, because there's not a single person in Fairy Tail who is closer to Natsu than Lisana. You can say Gray, you can say Urza, but at the end of the day, there is no one that makes Natsu feel the way he does like Lisana. There's just no one who makes him feel like that except for Lisana. Alright, so you would think to yourself, there's no way these two cannot end up together. It might not be, obviously it's not going to be your typical romance because Natsu's just a weird guy, but, you at least thought that they'd be the type of couple where they hang out all the time, but they don't, I don't know. It's like it wouldn't be, they wouldn't be this lovey-dovey couple. but they would still hang out all the time. And it's like they wouldn't really be dating, but everyone's like, dude, it's hard to explain. But the point is that those two would be together, and after Ada Loss ended, it was nothing, nothing. It was like Hiro Mashima just completely forgot about it. When Lisana first saw Natsu after she came back to Earthland, what did she do? She ran over to him and just jumped on top of him because of how happy she was that they could be together again. And then after that, it was just nothing. It was nothing. It's like Lisana's completely forgotten about her feelings for Natsu. So with something like that, like how can I then believe that something is going to happen for Gray and Julia? And how could I then believe that something's going to happen with Gajeel and Levy? Like Hiro is I'm happy that Hiro is giving them at least a little bit of development to show that he's doing something with it, but at the same time I'm just thinking like, okay, like he's doing this now, but in another couple weeks he's not going to be focusing on it at all. Like Gajeel is not going to treat Levy any differently. So I don't know. I just Fairy Tail is a really, really good manga when you think about all the things that can be done because, like, all the things that Hiro Mashima has created, all the storylines and everything, all the plot points and everything. It's a really good manga in that regard because you look at some of the things that have happened and you think, wow, like this could have been like there are so many things that you can be invested in. The problem is that you're not invested in them because they're not executed well. Well, imagine if everything in Fairy Tail was executed well. Everything. This would probably be one of like your favorite series because it just has that many things in it that have really high potential. But Hiro Mashima never executes them well. So it's like, and it's and when you continue reading as you read Fairy Tail, it's gotten to the point where you know there are going to be a lot of times when you're disappointed because things are not going to be done well because how Hiro Mashima writes. But at the same time, that there are going to be times that you're going to absolutely love chapters because he does bust those out every once in a while. So that's why I'm still reading Fairy. It's just a matter of whether or not you're willing to put up with all the crap you're going to get in order to get those chapters you're going to love. Right? That's that. And This is just one of those chapters that makes me think of what could have been because of Gajeel and Levy, but also at the same time reminds me of how it's never going to happen because stuff like Torafusa and Tempesta, I know how he writes, and I know he's just going to disappoint in the end. So, I guess I'll just stop here because yeah, I'll just stop here. As for rating for the chapter, I'll give it like a 5 out of 10. Wait, no, I'll give it a 4.5. I'll give it a 4.5 because the greater majority of the chapter is just Torafusa trying to act like he's some like the baddest demon on the planet when in reality he's just Max. That's all he is. He's Max. And no matter how much and it's like you just kind of feel bad for him. Like this guy really thinks he's gonna win, and you just like feel sorry for him because he's gonna get his butt kicked. You just know it. So it's just kind of pathetic, really. Yeah, I'll give it a 4.5 out of 10 because that really was most of the chapter. So, yeah, that's that, guys. Chapter gets a 4.5 out of 10. Great comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.